Hi everybody, I'm super excited. This is my very first Facebook Live, and let me just take a couple of seconds to introduce myself in case you haven't met me before. My name is Natalia. I am a registered dietitian. I'm a founder of Feeding Bites, and I also run a blog on Tribeca Nutrition. And this Facebook Live will be about finger foods for your baby. Well, basically, I just wanted to share huge news with you. It snowed in London yesterday. Crazy. You can see my garden in the back. I don't think, oh, it's all melted by now, but it was a huge event, and my kids were playing in the snow till 9 p.m. and I didn't care because it actually happens like once, maybe twice a year, so we totally let it go. So that's the big news. Another big news is that last week I wrote a post on 65 whole food finger foods for your baby, and I think it was by far the most popular blog post I've ever written, and I've been receiving a lot of questions from you on different aspects of finger foods, and I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and post a video and hopefully address all of these issues. And so if you're here, if you can listen, if you can hear me, please give me a comment or say hi or post a question or anything just to let me know how you're doing. So we'll get started. Again, my name is Natalia. I'm from Feeding Bites, and we're talking finger foods for babies today. So the most common question I was getting from you guys is what finger foods are appropriate for the baby. And I just wanted to say that there's so many different foods that we can give to our babies. Honestly, before writing this post, I literally just opened my refrigerator, I opened my pantry, and I just kind of looked at the things and imagined them being given to babies as a finger food and what needed to be adjusted in terms of texture, maybe some preparation methods. And this is how I built this list of 65 finger foods. So that means if you go to your pantry or to your fridge or to your freezer right now and you look carefully at what you have inside, you'll probably find quite a few foods that can be given to your baby as finger foods. But there are a few things that I would like you to keep in mind, and I will give a little demo now to help you understand better what I'm talking about. So the shape of finger foods is extremely important, and here's why. So here's my little demo board. When your baby is very little, let's say 6-7 months, he can only use his palm grasp to eat food. You see, this is how your baby will be holding his food. He cannot really use his pincer grasp yet. Pincer grasp is this kind of movement that bigger babies can use, typically at the age of maybe 8-9 months. Before that, they can only use their whole palm to hold foods. So it's really important to cut the food in a shape that allows them to hold it comfortably. Another issue that you may face is that the food may be slippery for the baby to hold. And here's my magic helper here. It's called crinkle cutter. And I used it to cut food for my baby, just like that. And it creates these ridges on the food, actually allow the baby to hold it more comfortably. Another thing that makes finger food less slippery is dusting it with a little bit of baby cereal or powder made of nuts or seeds. That actually also boosts the nutrition. Another way you can make finger food less slippery is by cutting part of the peel. It's very important to wash the food first, and you can do it with mango, banana, or avocado. So you basically peel it partially and leave some of the peel on the food so the baby can hold it and eat comfortably. And in case he licks the peel, not a big deal because you will have washed it prior to giving it to the baby. And another shape that works really great for smaller babies is this kind of discs. You see, I used this roasted sweet potato to cut a disc out of it, and your baby can use his or her palm to hold it comfortably. And so that's super convenient. And another thing to keep in mind when you're giving finger foods to a baby, sorry, I'm just cleaning my hands right here to make sure that it's all nice and clean, that to make sure that the food passes the squish test. And I will show it to you right now. So let's see if I take this sweet potato and I squish it, smash it between my fingers. You see how we want the food to be soft enough to make sure that we can squish it. So if you can squish it, that means it's safe to give to a baby. For example, if I take this pear that is not super ripe yet, and I try to squish it, it's actually better to peel it before giving it to a baby anyways. But even if I just try to squish it, applying quite a lot of pressure, I cannot do it. So that means this food is not appropriate for my baby. It may be great for my bigger kids, but it's not going to work for the baby. So this is the squish test, which is very important to make sure that the food that you give to a baby is safe. And here I'm back. I just wanted to cover, I'm actually looking at the actual questions that you guys sent me in your comments or in direct messages on Facebook to make sure that I'm covering all of that. So there are also other foods that are not appropriate for babies because of choking hazard, and those are all kinds of round foods that can stuck in the baby's throat, including popcorn, whole nuts, hot dogs, candy, obviously, all this kind of round things that can get stuck in the throat, and also raw, snappable, things that can be broken off. Foods are not appropriate for the baby, so for that reason, things like raw carrots or raw apples are dangerous. It's not something that your baby should be eating. And if you go to consult my list of 65 whole food finger foods, I actually will share the link in the comments as soon as I finish this video. Then you will see that I do advise to cook the hard, raw fruit and vegetables so that they can be squished easily. So they're appropriate for babies. So another question I was getting from you guys is, when I should start finger foods with my baby? And this is a great question, and I think I will give peace of mind to a lot of you right now. So the biological age of your child does not matter as much in this case. What is important is that he is or she is ready for solids in general and for eating finger foods in particular. So the signs of readiness include his or her ability to sit with minimal support, and also the hand-eye coordination or being able to hold puree in the mouth. So basically just the basic skills that the baby needs to start eating. And some babies are actually ready for finger foods at 6 months or even a little bit earlier. And others may take a few more weeks or even months before they're interested in picking the food. They can bring it to the mouth. Some of the babies don't like the texture of, let's say, raw fruit. They don't like the slippery foods. They don't like the mash. They don't like any of that. So it takes a little longer for them to actually build those skills and build their tolerance to certain textures. So please don't stress. It really depends on your baby, but it is a good idea to give finger foods to a baby starting from, let's say, 6 months or so. So as soon as you introduce solid foods as puree, it's a good idea to start serving finger food so that your baby can actually practice this palm grasp. You can practice, self-feeding, and the hand-mouth coordination will improve. And they also get exposure to all the foods that your family is eating. As I said, what I love about this list of 65 finger foods is that, you can find them in your kitchen easily. And that means this is the food that your family is eating. So your baby will be getting an exposure to the foods that the rest of the family is eating. And this is actually what we want. We want him to transition into the family diet, to become the member of the family and to eat together with everybody. So this is the when of starting feeding your baby finger foods. And the final question I wanted to discuss today, and that's actually super, super important, is a lot of parents ask me, so what do I do? My baby's 7, 8, 9 months, and he's not interested in finger foods. What should I try? Should I get him to sit in my lap? Should I feed him separately from the other members of the family? Is anything wrong with him? And I just wanted to say that yes, all children are different. If your baby has feeding problems in general, not only with finger foods but even with purees, I would definitely recommend having the child evaluated and discuss that with your doctor. But if your child just is not interested in eating finger foods and picking up and bringing them to the mouth, I would just recommend waiting a little bit, because some kids just take longer. And I'll give you an example. My third baby, she was super interested in solids, and she started self-feeding herself at 5.5 months, I believe, and we couldn't stop her. She was literally just grabbing everything from everybody's plates. She was wild. So we decided, okay, no, we'll just give her whatever she wants, and we kept it within safe limits, obviously, make sure that she doesn't eat any foods that are dangerous, but she ate a huge variety. And other kids I see in my practice and also in my family, they're really not that interested in finger foods. They do eat purees like champs, but finger food is not something that they like until they're 8 months or older, and that's absolutely fine. It's actually, that's why I like the mixed approach to feeding babies so much. Mixed approach is when we give babies both purees and finger foods. Mixed approach allows the baby to get the nutrition that he or she needs, and also gives you this peace of mind. Even if your baby doesn't like finger foods, he can still eat a little bit of puree, or vice versa. If your baby hates puree, and some babies do hate puree from the beginning, he can eat the finger foods and get the nutrition and develop the skills that he needs. But speaking about feeding your baby with puree, I have my tool here. No, that's the wrong tool. I wanted to demonstrate something else with it. That's the right one. So I wanted to talk for a minute about feeding your baby purees. And I wish I had a baby model here, but my youngest baby is already not a baby anymore. She's 2.5 years, so I don't think she'll be happy if I try to spoon feed her anything. So I will have to be your model today, and I will demonstrate how to feed your baby purees in a responsive way. So imagine I'm a baby and somebody brings me a spoon with puree, and this is what we want the baby, this is what we want to see the baby doing. We want the baby to look at the caregiver who feeds him. We want the baby to see the food. We want the baby to open the mouth, scoop the food, and eat. And then the next time he sees the spoon coming, he does the same. He sees the spoon, he looks at the spoon, he opens his mouth, and he keeps eating. So that actually, this way of feeding children is responsive to their willingness to eat. And there's also a different way to feed children that I see a lot in different families, and this is what it is. The baby may be, looking in the ceiling or at his siblings or a TV or something, and then the spoon coming, and then it really goes inside his mouth, and he kind of doesn't even realize he's eating. Or he is, for example, mesmerized by a TV screen in front of him, so he's kind of hypnotized, and the spoon is coming, and he's fed this way. And I see the intrinsic reason for that, and I see the underlying reason for that. We all want our babies to eat, and get the nutrition. But believe me, this approach will backfire, because as soon as the baby is able to, reject the spoon in some way, and that happens actually quite much faster than you would imagine, that's it. He will lose trust in you, and then he will not allow to spoon feed, and above all, he will probably lose interest in feeding altogether. So because there will be like a kind of a pressure zone during meal times, and he will not like that. So we want to feed the child in a responsive way if we use spoon feeding. But today's video is about finger foods, so I wanted to share with you another trick that I hope you will be using with your babies. And this trick is about putting your finger foods into your cut finger foods into a different type of finger foods, which is amazing for sensory development of your child. So basically you take a fork and you just mash it like that. You mash this sweet potato and you turn it into mush. And it doesn't have to be super smooth. You know, when you just start giving purees to your baby, if you choose to give him puree, it has to be smooth, at least at the beginning. But, you know, in a week or two, you can switch to rougher texture. And so this is the kind of texture that you can just, you know, give to your baby just like that. And that's perfect finger food, because he can use, you know, he's not going to be using the fingers. He's going to be using the whole hand and grab the food and eat it. And it's going to be incredibly, incredibly messy, but it will be very beneficial in terms of sensory development for your child and self-feeding and all these important skills. So I think that's the last demo I wanted to show you today. And please make sure that you check the post that I wrote on 65 whole food finger foods for your baby. I will post the link in the comments to this video. I hope that you will use these tips that I shared with you today, but the most important thing I want you to walk away with today is that what your baby needs the most at mealtimes is a relaxed parent next to him or her. Believe me, whatever shape you cut these foods into, and whatever nutrition you are trying to give to your baby with these finger foods, it's going to be useless. Nothing is going to work if you are just, you know, very anxious and very nervous about the bites your baby is taking and what's going on. So please take a CPR course if you feel very nervous or anxious about choking. Do not expect your baby, have no expectations at all. Your baby can choose finger foods or puree or both. So really keep it very relaxed and don't put any kind of pressure on your baby. So if you would like to learn more about the no pressure feeding strategies, also not only for babies but for all the children, make sure to check our closed Feeding Bites group. It's a community I built with another dietitian. It's great, you know, so we share feeding strategies, parents share their wins, and we swap meal plans and recipe ideas. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and it's appropriate for parents with kids of all ages. So check that out. I will also post a link to that. And I think this is all I wanted to share with you today. So make sure to comment on this video with your questions if you want, and share it with your friends if you feel they will benefit from this advice. Like it or love it. And I'm really excited that nothing fell on my head and I didn't, you know, drop the phone in my first live Facebook video. So I think it went quite well. But let me know, you know, what you liked, what you didn't, and if there is anything else you would like me to talk about in the future. So see you next time. Bye.